Hey guys, how's it going? It's September 3rd, 2018. I gotta pay attention to this thing, make sure this damn thing's up because my microphone level as usual. I think this thing's Windows 10 or something. Holy smoke, it's Labor Day. Whoopee. That's what I say. No, it's been actually pretty cool. It's been a blur, to say the least. Actually, everything has been a blur from... I don't know what my last video was. I was talking about the hobby, and I was... what the hell was it? I don't know what day it was, but I was talking about the... No, I was bored or something, but I was talking about the hobby before that, I think about a week ago. So, I've been able to... test out the ATCS stuff. Actually, I've had a. Let me just start with how this has been, because I'm trying to figure out what the hell I just did, and I can't believe it's Monday evening now, and I got to go back to work tomorrow. You know, I didn't go anywhere as far, or I shouldn't say that. I didn't go and stay overnight anywhere. Originally, and this. I really didn't know what was happening this weekend. Everything was dependent upon what was happening on my ex's side, and you know, obviously, with the mom passing not too long ago, and my son losing not only a grandparent but basically like a third parent, because him. Or sorry, with him having her around probably more than what he's seen me, it's taken a lot out of him. But he's had a pretty good time. He's doing better than I expected him to do. He went to a place called Zeus today, and I didn't get to see him too much, but I saw him a lot more this weekend than I was originally expecting. So that made my weekend. It really did, because originally the plan was either I was going to drive him up to Central Ontario, him and his or my ex, his mom, up to Central Ontario and drive him back. What ended up happening is I got a bit of a bargain. I only had to drive them to Zoos in Stevensville, which is basically half an hour away from here. So I got it much easier than spending 3 hours of driving one way and then 3 hours the next, and actually doing 2-day trips, because what I would have had to have done is not only take the 3 hours there and 3 hours back, but I'd have to do it again a few days later, because originally that was how the weekend was going to go. But really, everything started out. And I'll go through some of the various web pages and try to figure out things very shortly. But I'll even show the ATCS. I'll show first of all the servers, and this is just for example, the ATCS servers. I'll get into this a bit, but basically the ATCS servers, I'll show you this real quick. I'm trying to figure out, it says not monitoring. Oh, hang on a second. I'm not too sure why. That's a little weird. Okay, that's really weird. Okay. Let's try that again, shall we? Because something's odd there. I've never seen it do that. It says not monitoring. Am I missing something here? Oh, there we go. Maybe because I didn't open it up or something. So this is, yes, yeah, Karoo get. I was sitting right at this control point, and I could not get an indication for my life. In fact, there's a lot of control points I can't get an indication for my life. So basically, what it looks like as these things start filling in. I'll refer to this very shortly. But what this is doing is it's pulling data, and since most of you probably can't make heads or tails out of that, I'm just gonna keep that on there and let you have some fun watching that. or should I? I'm trying to remember the rules as far as what I can and can't do, because this is more of a information to my subscribers type thing, and I don't announce when I'm going to do live streams, and I don't say, you know, I don't use this for services for other people or anything like that. But what's happening here is, I'll show you this, and we'll let it go. Oops, that ain't the one that I wanted. That's wrong one. Okay, let's change back over to the display here, and you can find all this at www.atcsmon. I think it's ATCSmon or ATCSmonitor.org. You can find it, Google it. But I'll get to this very shortly here. Let's see. Do I want to do the lake shore lines, or do I want to do golden? I think I'll do golden horseshoe. Sounds like a plan. So, yeah, that's good. And actually, I can by doing this, I can actually get to the weekend. Now, this is interesting, because I'm looking at this, and one of the servers, I think, is down. I'm almost certain the server in this area is down. There was some storms today. Well, maybe not, but usually this... Okay, there's Hamilton Junction. Maybe something doesn't seem right. That's just taking a little while longer than usual. So there's a train going through St. Catharines, for example, and it's probably, you know, I sat it here. Anyways, let me get back to the story. I'll let you watch that for a few minutes while I talk, just to entertain you, and I'll explain my weekend, and I can actually show you this by explaining my weekend. So it really all started. There's a train going up on GXR there, up to Frauds. I've been up there. It's really cool. So it really started on Thursday. I had mentioned before that I was picking up a, what the hell is it? An SDL or SDR, DSL SDR, whatever the hell that stands for. I have no idea. But what it is it's something that plugs into a USB. I don't even have a laptop computer. My son has a laptop computer. I bought it for him. It's a Windows 10. It's been hard to tame, but I'm starting to tame it now that I'm getting a little bit more practice at it. Not to mention Paul was with me today, and he knows a lot about Windows 10 because he's using it on his operating system. So, but yeah, Burlington West is coming in now, so I don't know. It looks like there's a server down or something's going on. Probably somebody shutting it down, because we had some bad storms roll through here earlier today. My kitchen was somewhat flooded when I got home. I kind of figured it would be too, but anyways. So but a little over a week ago, I decided I was going to purchase this, and I think I put a video out that, you know, my hobby is strong, and I can assure you it certainly is. There's not as many trains that go through here like they used to, and I still am looking forward to going up into Ohio in November. I'm actually looking forward to that trip. That's one of those trips that, yeah, even though I have a trip in October, hopefully I'll get my raft out up into central Ontario in some cooler weather. warmer lakes, but cooler weather. That'd be kind of nice for our Canadian Thanksgiving. That's the next holiday, 5 weeks away, folks. I'm counting the days down now. But so what happened? I'll explain basically what happened here. I ordered this. It's a DSR, ASL DSR. I'm probably butchering the name of it. ASL DSR, I think it is. It's basically data radio. And I don't have it installed on my computer, or else I'd show you, because it's installed on my son's laptop. It's not on my. You have to get something called DSL Sharp. Why is SDR Sharp? Okay, never mind. SDR Sharp, never mind. DSL SDR, so it's SDR Sharp. I'm saying DSL Sharp doesn't matter. SDR Sharp, okay. All these freaking letters. SDR Sharp, yes. I think I got it right now. So I was watching it and tracking it, and you know, Amazon in Canada, I had ordered it and it was sitting there, and I wasn't too sure if it was going to ship. And like I said before, when the weekend had started, man, I'm in a pretty good mood for Labor Day night. I'll get to that in a minute, or in a little bit. So, because I had a pretty good weekend, I really did. It's been a blur, to say the least, but it's been fun. And it's been adventurous, and there's a lot of things that have gone down. I'll get to that. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. I think this will be. I was looking forward to letting you guys know what would happen, because I've just been too freaking busy to do anything on the computer. It's been awesome. And I mean that sincerely. It's been awesome that I haven't had to deal with sitting in my house looking at my computer. But I'll get to that. Let's start with Thursday first. So Thursday come in. I was watching it during the week, and I already told you that I wasn't too sure what was happening on the weekend. I knew I was supposed to get this thing on Thursday, and I figured I was going to borrow my son's computer for the entire weekend. He was okay with that, because he was going to have some fun in Central Ontario to get away with him and his mom for the holiday. But unfortunately, what happens a lot, it seems, on her side of the family, but there's some legitimate reasons they canceled on them. But there are some legitimate reasons. There's some health concerns going on. So, I mean, there's health concerns everywhere, it seems. So, my plans had changed immediately after that. But the good thing was I ended up getting him. I ended up getting my son. So I was like, okay, well, this is cool. The only thing she asked was that, you know, that if I could drop him off in the afternoon today. Well, those plans changed a little bit, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, sure enough, I was watching the tracking, and it had shipped Thursday morning, and I was all excited. And Thursday night it arrived, and I picked it up, and we went over to Glenridge over here in St. Catharines. We right by it, and it was kind of weird because CN Police was nearby, and there was somebody who looked like me who was trying to commit suicide. At least that's what the guy at the CN Police told me. He shined a flashlight, and he thought for sure it was me, right? And I'm just sitting along trackside, right, trying to pick this thing up. But he was, and I think he recognized me once I came up to him. He realized I was a rail fan, and he had no problems, because I mean, today they had a parade in the very same area, and there was groups of people walking across the tracks. But I'll get to that, because I'm going to come around to that very shortly. There's a reason why I mentioned that. But anyways, you know, I told him I got his phone. You know, I got his phone number. I put it on the CN police officer for the area. I got his phone number, and I said, I says I'm going to be here with my son for the next hour and a half. I says, if I see him, I will call you. And you know, I made sure that I had his phone number in there. I even tested it out, called his number, the cell phone got it, boom. And like, he showed me his badge and everything. So shined a flashlight at me at first. I thought, oh crap, here we go. Because I know what it's as a rail fan, I know what it's like when you're just sitting out. And I do a lot of rail fanning at night, especially if it's busy and you can see the signals and all that other stuff, right? I'm not trying mischief or anything. It's kind of weird, but that's just the way I am. I don't care about photos. I don't care about. I just, as long as I have enough light to see the trains, which I did, I enjoy just sitting beside the rails. You know, I love doing it during the day too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm one who also enjoys it at night. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'll find a spot, and I'll be perfectly content watching trains pass through into the evening. I love Fostoria at night. Fostoria is awesome at night. It gets really, really busy. You think the day's busy? Wait till what I call the rush hour there the rush hours pick up with all the intermodal traffic, and I mean they're just stacking signals like crazy, fleeting them. It's crazy. So, anyways, that was the side thing, but I tried, you know, I got the laptop and I got it going, and I can't get this damn thing to work. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I posted a mess. I think I got home that night. I posted a message. My son went on the computer, and I was, you know, unfortunately I wasn't paying too much attention to him, but he went on his computer. He understood that I had to figure this out, especially because we still, at this point, I don't think I was sure as to what. No, I knew at that point. No, Thursday I didn't. Sorry, I didn't know until Friday that the plans had changed. But at that point, you know, I said I gotta plan this. I said I either gotta fix this tonight or tomorrow. I says because on Saturday I'm supposed to be driving you, and I'm gonna be up in Central Ontario myself, spending hours, because I'm not driving all the way out there for nothing. No, I'm going rail fanning up that way. And I had my map. I had my I knew where I was going to go. I had everything set up and ready to go. And then, but for some reason I couldn't get to work on Thursday. But then by Friday, I figured out. Friday morning, I started getting responses on the forums, and I was able to figure out that it was because I didn't have my line output on that. There was no line output on the computer. I had to get a virtual line output. And sure enough, once I had it, boom, it worked. And it only worked, and now, I shouldn't say it worked, but what happened was, once I found out on, I think it was Saturday, sorry, Friday we went out. I'm pretty sure it was Friday we went out, yes. So Friday we went out to Burlington West, and that's when I found out on Friday evening that indeed it was working. And at this point I knew that the plans had changed. You can see, and Burlington West is awesome. So we go to Burlington West, and everything was working pretty good. I wasn't getting water down. I was getting Aldershot East, which for some reason isn't working right now. I don't know why, but I would get this, and then I would get a bunch of other ones down the lakeshore. In fact, I was getting Nels Road across the lake. This is actually where Lake Ontario's in this way. It goes west and then it turns east. This is why they call it the Golden Horseshoe, because you're basically across from St. Catharines. It's not to scale, obviously, but you would see Toronto due north of probably Nels Road area. You would actually see Toronto as you look across the lake. Just have to trust me on that one. It's not to scale like this because obviously they got to fit all the control points and everything like this, and this heads to Niagara and blah blah blah. But this is the Golden Horseshoe map. So what happened was I was only picking up, I'd pick up Bayview every now and then, but I wouldn't get this. I didn't get water down. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting water down, because I wasn't too far away, and I thought this is kind of weird. And I didn't understand it. It didn't make much sense to me. But I was getting Nels Road across the lake, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird, because that was a little further east to me. Like, really, I was across from Millen across the lake at this point. So Millen is directly across the lake from Burlington West, per se. But for some reason, Nels Road was the one that was coming in. And I figured, well, Millen's in a more city area, and this is kind of just outside a smaller community, so maybe that's why. So I didn't think too much of it. And normally what happens is you got these signals right here. You got these 5 signals. Now, the place is private property. It is private railroad property. I've always known this for years. Never had a problem that I can... In fact, I don't think I've ever been approached or taken ID or anything. Normally, I will sit east of these signals, well back from the mains, and you know there's grass in front of it growing like crazy, so you can't get a good view or anything. But as evening gets, you get a really good clear view of the signals. Well, I decided to be a bit of a smartass, because this area here was open, because I guess, you know, you have to have crews that go in between and get to the control points. I didn't really think too much of it. I thought I'll be okay as long as I'm far enough back from the tracks, and people were, you know, trains would honk at me when we'd wave and all that other stuff. There was a lot, but apparently what had happened was, now it was very visible. Apparently, and I stayed in my car, I wasn't walking on tracks, I wasn't playing around, you know, or doing anything stupid. Well, apparently, one of the trains, I don't know what, but somebody called CN. And sure enough, there was one police officer that came in, and I saw him, and I was in my car, and I was there a little bit further to the east, only like a week ago, and there was a police officer there, and my son and I were going for a walk along here. Not along the tracks, but along the side. It didn't seem to be an issue. Police officer, nobody was in the car, and the police officer didn't seem to have a problem, and it was like everything was fine. But a police officer was there, and I didn't see him. I asked my son, I says, I didn't see the police officer go, so apparently he was hiding over here, I guess, to see what I was up to. Apparently, I don't know. And then a second car came in, and he's like basically sideways at a 45 degree right to my right door. I guess so I couldn't get away. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess somebody's interested in what I'm doing. And of course I got the ATCS display on my monitor and everything. Well, that was interesting, let me tell you. Because I've never had this problem in the States. I've never had a problem like, you know, I've had ATCS displays before. Mind you, Fostoria is different because it's much more Railfan friendly. Well, the one officer, you know, he asked for ID. I gave it to him. I figured he wanted to see what I was like. That's fine. I got no problem giving my ID to him. And you know, he was wondering what I was doing. I was watching the trains, and then he saw my computer screen, and he says, "What's that?" I said that's the the railroad. That's the ATCS display for where all the trains are. You know, I'm saying it very casually and everything, and yeah, you know, he's just, you know, basic questions. He I guess doesn't have a clue what a Railfan is, or, you know, is just playing stupid. I don't know what. But eventually the other cop was now back over, and he used to work for the railroad, so he asked the other guy, and then he says, "Well, you realize you're on private property." And I said I didn't think I was on private. I said I didn't think I was on private property because, you know, I don't know if I was playing stupid or if it was just I didn't think I was on the right of way, so I figured I was safe because I know trucks go through there too. So I thought maybe the railway line itself was private property, but I just was just like, okay, because trucks do go there. There's a scale. There's an industry nearby, and trucks actually use it. So I figured it wasn't a big deal. And I didn't realize, and he says, "Oh, I didn't realize." I said, I says, there's been other rail. I says, there was another rail fan, and there was, and I wasn't kidding. There was a rail fan that was there an hour ago. He says, oh, no, there wasn't. I'm here all the time. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm a liar. But I'm not saying that to him, right? I'm just, yeah, I'm just like, okay, well, he was here. That's all I said. And, you know, I wasn't giving the officer a hard time or anything, but he was just like all real macho and tough and whatever. The other guy was nicer, though. The guy who actually had the railroad experience and looked me up, and he basically said, you know, and he looked, and the macho guy wanted to know what the display was all about, because he was afraid that I guess the concern was that somehow I could somehow tamper with the dispatch display, that I had something that was capable of rerouting trains or causing some type of accident or something. The ATCS monitor software is read-only. You cannot transmit, and I told him that. I said I says it's on Google. You can search the information. It's out there. All of it's there. And I said everything's. I says this is all for hobby. I said I wouldn't actually transmit. I says, number one, I can't. It even says it in the documentation. You can't transmit. It's all about reading information. And they told me, well, you know, they've had people, you know, walk the tracks, commit suicide, and throw stones at trains. And I've heard of all of that. And I says, yeah. I says, I was talking to a CN police officer last night in St. Catharines, where I live. And this is where I mentioned to him. I says, I know the guy. I says, I got my phone. I got his phone number. If you want to talk to him, it's on my phone. I says, I was down in St. Catharines last night. There was somebody who was trying to commit suicide. I says, us rail fans. I says, we actually help the railroads. We're the eyes. I says, we see trespassers. We see people screwing around. We call the CN police. We have the phone numbers. You know, stuff like that going on, we're gonna call. I says, I don't know why. I said, I'm not too sure why CN called on me. I says, I've been sitting in my car here just minding my own business. I says, I guess somebody decided to say I was trespassing because I was sitting beside a control point, well away from it, by the way. But anyways, I digress. So I saw the piece of paper. Eventually they came back. It was taking a while. My son's with me. I mean, he's 10 years old. I mean, come on. I'm not going to be screwing around with trains or, anything like that. But he had a piece of paper in his hand, and then the guy, the nice guy actually, he goes to me and he says, well, and he says, what I says, you see, you check out, it seemed to be okay. You don't have a record or anything like that. Everything seems to be fine, and we do believe you. However, you are under blah 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 act and all this other stuff. I'm thinking, okay, this guy's giving me a ticket because he's got a piece of paper in his hands. But apparently, it was a ticket that was a written warning. I have never received a written warning. I have actually received verbal warnings before. And not in this location, but other locations. I've done some stupid crap as a rail fan, let me tell you. I have walked from I've walked from Niagara Falls to St. Catharines on the Grimsby sub. Live track. I kid you not. I have walked up on signal towers when I was younger. I have done like, I've never done anything like to harm a train or anything like that, or do stupid ass stuff. I see people hop trains in friggin' Fostoria, for crying out loud. I see it in Fort Erie, actually. And I see a lot worse. But for me, yes, I've walked the main line. It's not the brightest thing to do. I mean, yes, I know. I know where the grade crossings are. I know how to read the signals. I know a lot of different things where I keep myself safe. In fact, I walked the main lines. I remember waving at a train going by that day when I walked on the Grimsby sub, and he gave me a toot toot. I waved at him. I gave him plenty of room off to the side. Back then it didn't seem to be an issue, but I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I used to, in the Conrail yards, they used to always get on me, you know, ride my bike nearby, because I was a kid as a rail fan. So rail fanning is, you know, in my blood. But apparently you gotta be in quote unquote safe places or off of private property. But I told him, I said, I'm not going back to Burlington West again. Now, I am going back to Burlington West again, but I'm not going back to the control point. I'm not going back to the private property. There is a residential area nearby that has a nice view of, oddly enough, this whole location from the opposite side, because there's a underpass right down here. So I'm going to get a nice view of the trains in a residential area where I'm just going to park along the side across a 4-lane road that has that underpass, and I'm going to be able to see everything that I've seen at Burlington West, because now I have the ATCS working. And anytime we go there, my son and I told him, I says, from now on, we're going over across the street. We're going to watch it from Plains Road, and that's it. So, and he wasn't scared about everything. I told him, I says, I hope you weren't scared. Ah, no, he was fine. He understood what was going on. Believe it or not, I got mad about it today, though. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, so that was the Friday. Saturday, we actually stayed home, because Sunday I wanted to go. Sunday I wanted to go out, and I'm trying to remember how Sunday worked exactly. To be honest, I can't Sundays, I don't know why Sunday's a freaking blur. Oh, sorry, never mind. Duh, that's why. I just realized it, what had happened on Sunday. I almost totally forgot. But anyway, Saturday what happened was there was a big wrestling show called All In. And it was pretty cool, to say the least. So what All In is this, if I go Google here, so this was the Cage Side Seats ProWrestling.com. This was an event that took place on September 1st. The biggest independent wrestling taglines, the biggest independent wrestling show ever. And it was spectacular. We were all excited about this all day. My son and I were both professional wrestling fans. We followed WWE for years, and I stopped subscribing to it once I lost my cable. And now Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, I have streaming services with both of these, which meant because I had Ring of Honor, I could watch it live. So I pay $10 a month for both of these, $10 a month for that, $10 a month for that. That is all the entertainment that I receive, and it's all streaming on my computer. We had a blast. We were all excited about it. It was like 5 hours of professional wrestling, and it was crazy. It happened. It was all about 10,000 seat arena. There was a big Dave Meltzer was a wrestling journalist, and he basically put a bet in there that, sorry, I forget what you said. One of them was about a 10,000, you know, that basically Dave Meltzer said that there would be no way that anybody could sell out a 10,000 seat arena in independent today, because WWE had such a monopoly on professional wrestling now. And Cody, I think it was Cody or the Young Bucks, these two guys, but I believe it was Cody. He's the new NWA champion. He on Twitter said, "I'll take that bet. You're on." They sold out in 30 minutes in Chicago. Less than 30 minutes, actually. They sold 10,000, just over 10,000 seat arena at the Sears Center in Chicago. There is such a demand for the right guys, and these guys are marketing awesome. They've Cody was in the WWE. The Young Bucks are very popular independent tag team wrestlers. They're all part of something called the Bullet Club, and it was fun. So that was our whole Saturday in a nutshell. So it was fun. Now Sunday, and I'll take you back to the ATCS display because that gets you interesting here. Whoops, let's go back to the right one that I want here. So I knew afternoons are pretty dead. This is the time at night where things start picking up, I find. Evenings, this gets a little busy, more freights come through. Now today's Labor Day, of course, so the trains were actually a little less, but I have a friend or who I knew over the internet. I've known him for years over the internet, or at least knew of him, and then we started communicating just within the last month or so, and we met for the first time. I thought I met him before, but apparently we haven't met. But his name's Walter, and he lives in between Ingersoll and Woodstock in a town called Beachville. And yeah, and we've been talking. We can go back and forth, and he ended up getting an SDR dongle. He hasn't got it yet. It's still on order, but it's coming, and he wanted to see it in action. And you know, fortunately I got it going on the Friday night, so this was Sunday now, and I was driving up there, and I had it attached. So I'm driving along the QEW, and I'm thinking, I'm still not getting. I was going to stop at Glen Ridge, but I didn't. I decided, you know, we don't have enough time. I had never gone back to Glen Ridge. This line's not too busy, with the exception of freights in the morning and some of the GO traffic later on. But I'm driving along the QEW, which is the highway between. Yeah, QEW actually runs basically this whole corridor. It runs alongside and then cuts across the harbor here. You got Burlington Bay and Lake Ontario, and it cuts across the harbor and then heads east. So it heads west, then it heads east towards Toronto. So east, west, this is basically what you're looking at. And what happened was, I'm driving along, and my son's monitoring all of the stuff, and I have the antenna plugged in. You know, I got a magnet. It's got a magnet on it, so it fits fine on the top of my car. We were a little concerned about using it at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, because we weren't too sure if the thing was going to fly off or bend off or break or whatever, but it worked out really good. No problems. And I got over to, you know, I'm going by Glen Ridge, I'm getting nothing. And then Nels Road started coming in. I'm thinking to myself, well, the reason why Glen Ridge and Jordan didn't work was because they were probably a little bit further away from the line of sight with the QEW. Because by the time you get to Nels Road, you're right along the highway. So that's what I was thinking. But as I was getting around Nels Road, McNally wasn't coming in. McNally wasn't too far from the highway, and I'm thinking, that's weird, and so was Millen. And I'm thinking, why aren't these coming in? And then right around Nels Road, sure enough, I'm getting Burlington West, and I'm driving along the highway, and I got Bayview, or you know, Waterdown never came in, but I was starting to get a few of the other ones, and I'm thinking, you know, the only thing I could think of was because I was driving 100 kilometers an hour that maybe it wasn't trapping the signal or whatever. So I'm driving, you know, eventually I hook up onto the 403 and head west, and I don't get Copetown West, and I thought, well, that's because it's a little ways away from the highway, but Massey's, Brant Junction, Brantford, and Hardy are all in the city of Brantford. And that is, at least Massey's, there's a bridge. These things update, by the way. If there's no action, these things will update once per minute, once every 60 seconds, almost right on the dot. Just to basically acknowledge that they're still alive, and they tell the BCP that everything's going. So that's why you see them go white and red, because they're communicating. So I'm heading west, and I'm like, I'm right by the control point. The 403 crosses right by there. Oh, you can see a switch set up. See how that did that? It was blue, and then it went boom. So somebody's setting up a crossover switch in Massey's, or Macy's, or however you pronounce Macy's. I don't know. But anyways, and then it just went normal. Maybe it was reversed and then it went normal. I don't know what happened. That was kind of weird. Maybe they changed their mind. It looks like he's crossing over there, and then they got something else, and oh, there we go. See, so that just cleared. But anyways, that's the cool thing of ATCS. You don't have to be right by the signals to find out what's going on. Now, being on a server, you get to see a hell of a lot more. You get to see the big picture, because this is a conglomerate of a bunch of servers. But anyways, the whole idea of having the antennas, notice how this one's not reporting. And I see this all the time on the aggregator. I don't see Lihu reporting, and I don't see Blaine, and that's because there's no server in this area. Walter might be putting up a server if we can get everything, if he can get everything going, and hopefully he'll have better success with me with his. But I'm trying to get help too, and then I'm just going to pass it along to Walter because we communicate all the time. So we're heading this way. I'm still not getting it, but then I think I got Paris West. I believe Paris West came into play. I saw that. I never saw Blaine. And eventually I was at the Woodstock. So I'm down by Woodstock. I'm not too far from the Woodstock station, and I called Walter up and I said, yeah, I'm getting Lihu. Because Lihu's coming in, and I'm at the service center. But it's closer to Woodstock than it is Ingersoll. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I getting Lihu and I'm not getting Blaine? This doesn't make any sense. And I'm still, I was no longer getting Paris West at this point. It might have just came in a few times. I don't think I was getting Paris West, but I was getting Lihu. Because I stopped for lunch, and Lihu's updating. I'm still a ways away from it. I'm like, why am I getting this? So I don't know what the hell's going on. And we end up going to the station at Ingersoll, which is about a mile or two away from Lihu, and yeah, Lihu keeps on updating, and we first did our train spotting there, saw Via go through. I forget if we saw freight at that time or whatever, but then we eventually headed east to Woodstock, or past Woodstock, and then Lihu went dark, and then I couldn't get anything, and that was pretty much the end of ATCS monitoring from that point forward. Or wait a minute, no, I think I still had Lihu. I don't know, I can't remember. But anyways, so it was okay, and I had a little bit of mobile access, to be able to pull up ATCS. I have very limited mobile access, but I was able to pull up the servers and see what was going on. But I prefer not to do it because it costs me quite a bit of money. The wireless plans are horrible, and I was able to feed through and pull up some of the data, so I was able to see the big picture. But I don't like doing it very often. So that's something when you're out in the field, you can pull up the mobile data and get everything. But when, say, you're over here, like Lihu never updates on the server, so if you're in an area that's dark that doesn't update on a server, it's kind of cool because you could be railfanning anywhere around here, and you're pulling up data. The only problem is I'm trying to figure out, Nels Road is dark. That's kind of odd. This is the one that shows more than anything, but then again, their server is isolated from over here, and why they're getting Jordan and Glenridge, I don't know. There's still a lot of mysteries for me to try to figure out why certain things work and other things don't, but yeah, so today I was out there. See, now Nels Road is back, so go figure. So I was out at, I tried it again. This time I went right to Glenridge. I was right at the freaking control point. I could not get Glenridge. I went to Jordan. I could not get the control point. As I was driving towards Nels Road started coming in again. I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? And I went right up to the control point at Nels Road. I was getting it. I could be at the control point. I could be a mile or two away from it. I was still getting it, but these guys, nope. McNeely never came in. I still, even while I was sitting near Nels Road, I was getting Burlington West. Aldershot East would come in every now and then. I was getting a few closer to Toronto. It was really, really weird. I didn't get it. I don't know. So, as you can see, I'm still excited about trains, so that's cool. Let me minimize that now and get away from doing that, because I don't know, something they don't, something about sharing data or showing ATCS, and you know, don't want too much publicity. But problem is, for trying to figure it out, it's difficult sometimes to try to, one, you want people to, I would think it's nice for people to know that these things are available, but I certainly don't want to be a source to display information for trains for would-be, you know, they're very particular, the group, as far as, you know, you have to be accepted into the Yahoo group or whatever the hell it's called, and you have to be, you know, agree to certain terms and all that other stuff. I think I've agreed to most of my terms, if I can recall. Hopefully I have. If not, somebody can tell me, and then I can cease and desist or whatever if I'm doing anything bad. You know, seems like I'm getting in trouble lately a lot, so, trespassing and all this other stuff. So, anyways, I just want to take it off the screen there. That's all I wanted to show you as far as the ATCS side of things. I won't go into the Gmail. Like what I'm basically doing right now, and I haven't even been on Farm Simulator. I haven't been on Farm Simulator probably in over a week. It's really crazy, and I don't miss it. To be honest, my son and I were talking about doing it, and we didn't. So I don't know what happened there, but no, it hasn't. Run 8. You know, the funny thing is, you know, my rail driver is right where the microphone is, and it's on the same table here, like right beside me, where my mouse is, my hand, everything, and yet, for whatever reason, I have no interest as to what's going on there. The groups, it's doing whatever it's doing. There's nothing going on. But then again, why should there be? Because I'm not really doing anything. We were looking at some earlier today. I was looking at some historical maps, actually, of the area. I was into Google Maps, and we were checking out some historical images. Paul, which I end up spending time with him today. Went out to, like I said, I went out to there. We had a big storm that went through Grimsby at Nels Road while I was out there. I'm like, whoa, it was bad, and like I said, I had a flooded kitchen when I came back home, because it's the lowest part of the basement here is the kitchen, and the laundry room was a little bit flooded, and I think parts of my bedroom's got a little bit of water underneath. It just kind of seeps up. It's like, oh, that's my life. And hopefully it's mold proof. I don't know. I have no idea. So far my health seems fine, but I don't know, some days. And rent's not getting any cheaper anywhere else, so I just put up with it for now. What else is going on? So we had New Japan. I don't think anything else has happened in regards to any new information that I'm aware of for Run 8. I don't see anything. Yeah, there hasn't been any other post at Run as far as Run 8. Train Sim General, sometimes I've been looking at that lately just to see if there's anything new or interesting, but is there a text-based multiplayer? Well, that's interesting. Farm Simulator, now it's up to 41 replies. I bet you that's gone totally off topic. I'll have to take a look at that later. I'll keep that open for later on. But no, everything else is okay. I guess I got to get back to the reality now that it is Labor Day. What is it? The unofficial end of summer? Is that what they call it? So yeah, my son was at zoos today, so I got to see him a couple times. What had happened was I dropped him off, and then I went to see my friend Paul. We went out and I showed him the system. We were hoping to see some trains. We didn't see any, and that's just Niagara. I was trying to get over to Burlington West, but then there's all kinds of traffic coming back from Niagara on a holiday. It's basically all the all the tourists, all the whatever, everybody comes see Niagara Falls. They just pack the QEW. It's like this on Sundays too, quite a bit. So those are bad days to go down to Burlington West, because everybody's heading back to Toronto and Burlington areas and that. So it's a mess. So we got up there, it was like, okay, well, I can show you at, I told him, I said, I can show you at Nels Road in Grimsby. I know that's working. So we headed off there, and we sat there for about a good hour and a half, and I was playing around with a few things, just trying to get the damn thing to work, or work better, I should say, so that I could get back to. Then I came back over to Jordan just to see if the thing would work, and I was hoping to get the settings, and I hung out at Jordan for a good 15-20 minutes trying to play around with the settings to get it to work. I did it earlier in the afternoon, earlier in late morning over at Glenridge, and I still couldn't get the damn thing to work. But sure enough, we were able to pick up some of the other ones. So I don't know exactly if it's the power or if it's close enough to the BCP, which is like the big carriers. You got MCPs, which are the control points. BCPs are the big towers that go back, that pick up all the MCP data and transmit it back and forth to the office via the telephone lines, or I guess the ground lines, or however the hell it's hooked up to their networks. And that's basically how it could be microwave for all I know from that point. I really don't know. But that's basically how they communicate to the signals in an ATCS system. So instead of having wires underground to the signals to tell and the switches and all that other stuff, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's wires to some extent, but they don't have what they call the code line. The code line used to run all the way down the tracks, and would basically give codes to various control points along the line via the address. Kind of just like like an email address. It's like I'd find it and boom, here it is. Boom, flip this switch. Clear this signal, and that's how things used to work. They still do work. Now they're getting into satellite. They're getting into all kinds of things. CSX is getting into satellite, so you can't do any ATCS in CSX anymore. They're virtually eliminating that. It looks like they're eliminating parts of Fostoria now, which really sucks. Fostoria used to be awesome for ATCS. Like Walter was telling me, he said, you really don't need it. And yeah, that's true. I can understand why people would say that. But for me personally, I always look at it as, if I'm there, I know there's a lot of trains. It's not a question of, it's not a question of if the next train's coming through, it's when. So that is why I always prefer to know the signals in an area that I'm railfanning. I'm very big on signals anyways. I love the signals. So if I can see them, that's even greater. But just having a display and knowing, having it there is kind of cool too. So, yeah, that's just the way it is. But getting back to the whole Labor Day thing, I don't think anything's going on. Like that's all I know. If it's not on Train Sim, I really don't know if there's anything else going on. Is there any news on Run 8, guys? I really don't know. I doubt it. But yeah, there's nothing going on. Okay, just thought I'd check, just in case. But yeah, and like I said before, I as far as that goes or anything else, I really don't know. So no, and I'm not Farm Simulator. I might get back to it later this week. Right now, my real interest and hobby, I guess, at the moment is trying to figure out this whole ATCS thing. So I've told my son, I said, next weekend bring the computer. And whether he likes it or doesn't, or I don't know if he does or not, that's the other problem. He seems to like it, but then I can see him getting to a point where he may on a weekend, may, you know, he has limited time with me, he may not want to go out and watch trains, because it can get a little boring. This isn't like Fostoria. It's not like where you get trains constantly going through, or you get 100. You know, you get your fair share, but eventually you don't get that many in comparison. But I keep on trying to tell him and try to make it into a hobby and say, like, you know, we're trying to figure out, you know, how to use the software, because, you know, I try to basically sell it to him like that, and I say, because when we go away in Ohio in November, I want to know for sure how I'm using not so much the ATCS software, because I'm pretty competent in that as far as I can tell. I think it's the receiver software. So that's the interesting thing. But yeah, it's Labor Day, and usually I'm bummed out on a Labor Day, and this actually turned out to be a pretty cool weekend. I wasn't originally, I was kind of scared of it, just because I wasn't going to see my son. Maybe not at all originally. I didn't know. You know, a couple weeks ago, it sounded as if I barely would see him at all. But I was happy to see him. You know, I even saw it a couple times today for, you know, be it, you know, a half-hour trip one way, half-hour trip the other. Actually, it took us, you know, we stopped at McDonald's and stopped at a store on the way back. You know, both my son and his mom, you know, my ex. And yeah, it took us about an hour going back, because we stopped at McDonald's. You know, she bought me a drink or whatever, because, you know, I was able to basically, you know, she really appreciated it, because she can't get around. And you know, and that was the whole thing. You know, her mom used to, you know, she doesn't drive, and her mom was the one that used to do a lot of the driving around, so she really doesn't have ways to get around. So I don't mind, for my son's sake, if it makes him happy and I get to see a little bit more of him, then that makes me happy. You know, now the fun begins as far as the school season and all that. He's not looking forward to it, but it hasn't bothered him today. It doesn't seem to have really bothered him. We'll see how things go. He's taking it a lot better than I would. I used to hate this time of year, and I still get this weird feeling, because I know now, for me personally, I know that, and I'm only going to talk for another 10 minutes and let you guys go, because I got stuff I want to do, actually. It's all ATCS related. I need to do some research and try to find some YouTube videos and maybe an instruction manual on how to fine-tune the damn thing. But and I can't show you the software. I'd show you the software, but I don't have the software installed on this computer, because it's on my son's laptop, and, well, he's got it back. So I'll just have to take some pretty good notes, or find a manual or something. I don't know what. But I mean, I got my aerial, my little plug-in device, and all that other stuff. I mean, I could install it, but it'd be useless down here, because I live in a basement. So what the hell am I going to pick up? I can't pick up diddly squat down here. So yeah, but no, I'm going to see less of them now, because it's the school year. The always cool thing about a long weekend is the next week is a short week. So that's always a bonus. Although I do know right now that tomorrow is supposed to be a pretty light day at work. Lately, the Fridays have been busy, and the next day hasn't been so bad. It's really been weird. The day back from the weekend has actually been the light one for some strange reason, but which is fine. I like it that way. It makes me allows me to ease into things. I haven't got into the programming side of things yet for RTS. I know I haven't mentioned RTS at all in this. I haven't really been thinking about it lately, to be honest. And I know this is another distraction. I get it. But I still keep on saying to myself, I mean, I really want to see what the hell Run 8 does. I hate to say that, but I do. I just don't want to be wasting time, because if it's good, I might be interested in what they're doing. But at the same time, I know money-wise, I certainly want to get another stream of income going. So I don't know how the hell to do that just yet. But nothing else is happening. You know, it's just status quo for the time being. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I haven't even. Sorry, I guess I forget it. Today's Monday. Forget I said that. Brain dead moment there. I forgot tomorrow's Tuesday. So yeah, I'm with my son tomorrow. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow. So let me rephrase that. I have no idea what we're doing tomorrow. We haven't even talked about it. So I'm not going to worry about it. But oh yeah, we'll be going to karate. Hopefully he's going back to karate, but he's been having issues with that. So I don't know what's going on with that. So he's been having issues getting back into things since he had an injury, and then, you know, with his grandmother passing. So I don't know. We'll see how his frame of mind is, but as far as I know, he's going. And yeah, it'll be an interesting time, but I still get to see him the same amount of time as I normally would on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And then the weekends, everything will be the same except the Sundays. I'm used to seeing him until 9 p.m. on a Sunday. Last year before this, during the school year, I had to drop him off at 1. Now I get to drop him off at 3. I would love to see him just a little bit more, but that's okay. I'll take 2 hours, and then I'll have to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. So come next Sunday, I don't know if I'm going to be in as good of a mood, because that'll be a little bit different. I'm in a good mood right now only because I got to see quite a bit of them this weekend, and I got a lot of activity going on and a lot of projects on the go, especially with the ATCS stuff. And it was a great weekend. I can't believe it was. I didn't have to spend money on a motel. I spent some gas money, sure. I spent some fast food money. Well, yeah, I did. And you know, that's just the way things are. So, wow, I didn't even make it till 9 o'clock. I was gonna try to push this till 9 o'clock, but guess what? I'm done talking. So, thanks for putting up with me, guys. That's all I got to say. And yeah, I don't know what's going on Wednesday. Who knows what's going to happen Wednesday? Right now, Wednesday is a mystery. And, you know, and because I don't have a laptop, I can't extend this hobby any further. It's going to be up to my son. And that's probably going to end up being on weekends if he's interested in it. That's the other thing. Unfortunately, and that's the only other way I can do it. So, but otherwise, I'm just... the only way I can look at the server here, but that's about it. But whoopie-doo. That doesn't do anything for me, really, to be quite honest, because I'm too far away from where all the traffic is at Burlington West. The Grimsby sub isn't that busy. A few freights a day, whereas at least there's a few more. Not as many, but there's at least good 20 or 30 freight trains, I think. But still, it's not like it used to be, but it's still better. And I just like the fact that it's there, and you get to do things. It'll phase out. I'm sure eventually I'll get tired of doing it. My son will probably get tired before me, quite frankly. He'll let me know. But for now, it's good. So, anyways, that's it, guys. I'm gonna call it for now. I will probably maybe be back Wednesday. I don't think I'll be back tomorrow night. I'll find something better to do with my time for a little after 9 or whatever. So this time tomorrow, but he'll be dropping him off tomorrow. I'll see what his day's like, and I'll just be getting on with mine. So have a good week, guys. Hope you had a good Labor Day, and don't forget. I mean, yeah, it's like summer's over. Nah, summer's not over. I mean, I plan on taking my raft out next weekend if the weather, because it's supposed to get cooler by Thursday. But until then, it's supposed to be freaking hot as hell still. So summer ain't over. It's just back to school. Kind of sucks, but otherwise it wouldn't affect me at all. Anyways, guys, have a good one. We'll talk to you later. See ya.